Another way of customizing some of the attributes inside of the Shave Shape node is to use material attribute maps. So I've got lesson 17 opened up here, which is this little bumblebee, and I'd like to add some fur to the back end of this. So real quickly, I'll just go right click, select faces, grab the faces on the tail here, and we'll just go up here to shave, create new hair, and it's going to just be the default hair. Okay, so there we go. We've got some default hair in there. While I'm right here, I'm going to go to View, select Camera, and down in the environment, I'm just going to lighten the background color. And the reason for this is I'm going to have some black fur eventually, and I just want to be able to see it. Okay, so let's select the hair, and we'll open up our brush attributes, and I'm just going to scale these hairs down a bit, like that. Okay, that's cool looking. And let me just get out of this tool. And so, okay, we've got this hair that we want to modify. Well, we can go in and go ahead and start to adjust the tip color. Okay, we can pick a tip color that would be there, but there's going to be an issue with that. And the issue that we're going to face, let me undo this actually, is that only the tips are colored or only the base is colored. But what if I wanted these bands? Well, what I'd want to do then is plug in a map. And in this particular case, what it's going to do is it's going to look at the UV information of this object and find out on that pixel what color it is, and then transfer that information to the render hair. So let's open up the Hypershade. There's my Lambert material. I'm just going to go ahead and graph this. And there is the file node that I'm looking for, which is file 1. Okay, and here's the material. So with that selected, let's go back into our hair system here. And under tip color, I'm just going to middle click, drag and drop. And under root color, I'm going to middle click, drag and drop. Now, let's take a render of this and see what we get. And it's going to play a little trick on us. So as it's rendering, remember that we still had by default, by the default preset, a variation of hue and value. So as I zoom in here, you'll see I still have some green hairs. So things aren't moving and looking the way I'd like them to. So let's go ahead and kill this hue variation as well as this value variation. We'll go back and add some value variation later, but let's just first see what we've got going as far as this system looks and is concerned here. So let's pull this back out and render this again. All right, so here it is, our final image here, but it's not quite like what I thought it would be because it's still duller than the actual geometry texture that's on there, the texture map that's on the original piece of geometry. How do we fix that? Well, like a lot of these sliders, they are actually multipliers for the map. And what that means is this tip color is being multiplied into this node right here. So if I set this to black, watch what happens to my hair system out here. If I set both the root color and the tip color to black, I get an all black hair system. Well, what that means is black is 0, so I'm multiplying 0 times the pixel value or pixel information along this object. Well, I'm going to get black for my hairs. Inversely, if I flip this all the way to white, I'm now going to get a multiplier of 1 times the color, which is going to be whatever the color is. So now if I was to take this and render this, we're going to get something that's more predictable. So this is how you would set up something like a Dalmatian or a character that has some type of colored fur. And as you can see here, we're getting the banding. You can see the black fur right here. So everything is really looking the way it should in this setup. Now, mind you might want to go ahead and add a little bit of value variation, maybe set this to 25, just so some of the hairs are not, it's not so mechanical and robotical. But in this situation, I don't know if I would add a hue variation because it's just not going to, the bee is black and yellow. I don't really want to have any green and reds show up to the party, so to speak. Now, I am going to back off on this root color just a bit, just so the base is a little bit darker. But let's take a quick render of this and see what our profile of this bee now looks like. All right, so that's really cool. And just keep in mind that for these material attribute maps, or any of the attribute maps, that usually the slider above it is going to be a multiplier to control how much of that map is affecting the hair system.